What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, all of the talk of Terence Crawford fighting Chris Eubanks Jr. is just that, talk. Not happening. At least not right now. There was a lot of reports that Chris Eubanks Jr. and Terence Crawford was going to fight next. And it came from Chris Eubanks Jr. putting it up on his social media, right? He sparked the conversation, and then it just started to pick up momentum. But according to two-time trainer of the year, well-renowned trainer, future Hall of Famer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, who's the trainer of Terence Crawford and Chris Eubanks Jr., Bomac stated that it's just that, a rumor, okay? He said it's not true. He don't know where it came from. But then he said that he heard that Chris Eubanks put it up on his social media. But he said it's not true. And actually, he's waiting for Chris Eubanks to call him and let him know when he got his next fight coming up. Right? And so everybody got upset, quickly got upset with Terence Crawford. Right? And they were like, Terence Crawford is ducking Geron Ennis. Right? Turns out that's not true either, because Terence Crawford, according to Bomac, has not even been offered the Geron Ennis fight. And as I told people, I stated this, Geron Ennis is in a legal battle trying to get out his current situation and current contract with Now Boxing. He was with Cameron Duncan, and Cameron Duncan transitioned, and he was also signed to Showtime and Steven Espinosa, and they got out the business of the sport of boxing, right? So Geron Ennis is suing them for $1 million for not, holding up their end of the bargain. And it's unfortunate because Geron Ennis is a great talent, right? He's a great talent. The ceiling is the floor for Geron Ennis. Usually they say the ceiling is your potential, but for Geron Ennis, the ceiling is the floor for him. The sky's the limit, in my opinion, for Geron Ennis and beyond. I just think that Geron Ennis is a generational talent, right? I just think that he's a generational talent. Now, can I be wrong? Absolutely, I could be wrong, but I believe Geron Ennis is a generational talent, and given the opportunity, I think he's going to prove it. He's been elevated to the IBF welterweight world champion now. He's the official IBF champion, but he just can't secure the big fights, right, that he's seeking out. And Geron Ennis, it's unfortunate, the situation that he's in. But nonetheless, everybody links him and says that Terence Crawford is ducking Geron Ennis. That proved not to be true, right? And I just had Bernie Nabasa, shouts out to Bernie Nabasa. He was on the show. And Bernie, he stated that, hopefully they're hoping that Tszyu, the WBO junior middleweight world champion, the son of a legend, Tszyu, has a fight coming up March 30th against Keith Thurman. And they said they're rooting for Tszyu. Why? Because Keith Thurman doesn't have any interest in fighting Terence Crawford. Never did. And Tszyu is the WBO champion. Now, what's ironic about this situation is that the WBO belt is not on the line in this fight March 30th. And that Tszyu, if he loses, he still loses the belt. But if Keith Thurman wins, he don't pick up the belt. Because Keith Thurman has downplayed the WBO belt and the WBO status in the sport of boxing, and he said that the WBO status is null and void. He said that they don't mean anything to the sport of boxing. That's what Keith Thurman said. He don't acknowledge them. So this fight is at a catch weight, not for the belt. Keith Thurman has fought a total of 3 times in 7 years, right? So Keith Thurman has not been very well for the sport of boxing himself. Why do I say that? Because every big fight that Keith Thurman possibly could have made, he chose not to make it happen for the fans. He had an opportunity to make a fight between him and Errol Spence in a unification bout. There would have been a super fight, a massive fight. He didn't make it happen. Terence Crawford came in the division. He could have fought Terence Crawford for his belt. When he still had a belt, he said Terence Crawford was too small and he didn't respect the WBO title. So Keith Thurman has these big fights in front of him, and he's choosing not to take not near one of them. He's chose because he's 35 now, right? The last big fight, meaningful fight that Keith Thurman had in his prime was the Danny Garcia fight, the unification in 2017. After that, he did land a Manny Pacquiao fight in July of 2019. But again, by that time, Keith Thurman was already very inactive. He was out the ring for 2 years, and he lost to Manny Pacquiao in a fight that he was a big favorite to win because of Manny Pacquiao's age and his youth, and he lost. He got dropped in the fight. He got hurt badly in the fight, and he lost. So Keith Thurman has never had any intention of fighting Terence Crawford, and I feel like, and I said this and I'm going to say it again, I don't care who don't like it, Keith Thurman, I believe, made those statements about the WBO belt because he didn't want to fight Terence Crawford. And now he has to stick to the statements he made because now it's going to look bad on him if he now chooses to fight for the WBO title after you said it didn't mean anything when Terence Crawford had it. So now fighting Tszyu, he got to stand to that because who don't want to become a 2-division champion? He's fighting Tszyu anyway, but his argument is that he's bigger than the belts. No, he's not. Keith Thurman has had one pay-per-view major fight, and that was Manny Pacquiao. He was once considered the best fighter at welterweight when he beat Danny Garcia, but he did nothing with that momentum. Absolutely nothing. So Terence Crawford and his team is hoping that Tszyu wins. Because Tszyu has interest in fighting Terence Crawford. He already stated that him and Terence Crawford began negotiations, but that somehow fell apart. And he said that he wants to fight Terence Crawford and prove himself. So that would give Terence Crawford the opportunity to become a 4-division world champion. To me, I said this and I'll say it again, the Chris Eubanks Jr. fight for me, for Terence Crawford, is a good fight. It's a solid fight. It's an interesting fight because Chris Eubanks fights at 160 and Terence Crawford will be jumping up in weight. And Chris Eubanks is big, 5'11.5" with a 73-inch arm reach, about as big as, or close to the same size as Jamel Charlo. That's what makes it interesting. But he doesn't have a belt and never was a world champion. So Tszyu makes more sense as a legacy fight for Terence Crawford, in my opinion. That makes more sense, in my opinion, as a legacy fight for Terence Crawford. Tszyu, because that makes him a 4-division champion. Period. So we got to see how this unfolds and how this fight plays out March 30th, right, between Tszyu and Keith Thurman in a few weeks, in 2 weeks. We'll see how that fight plays out. No doubt. So I expect Tszyu to beat Keith Thurman. I think he's going to stop Keith Thurman to the body. He's consistent. He don't have a lot of flash and flair. He's the son of a legend, Costa Tszyu, but Tszyu is consistent. He has very good punch selection. He doesn't waste a lot of punches. He's big, he's strong, he's durable. And Keith Thurman fought 3 times in 7 years. He's very vulnerable to the body. Tszyu is very good going to the body. And I just think that Tszyu is going to close the show, go to the body. I don't think Keith Thurman is going to hurt Tszyu. I don't think he's going to have enough in the stretch in the later half of the fight to hurt Tszyu and keep Tszyu off of him. And I think Tszyu is going to counter him, go to the body, and stop Keith Thurman to the body. That's what I think. And Terence Crawford and Tszyu will be next. And that makes more sense to me anyway than Terence Crawford and Chris Eubanks, because that's a good fight. It's a solid fight. It's an interesting fight, but it does nothing for Terence Crawford's legacy. Terence Crawford beating Tszyu makes him a 4-division champion and undisputed in 2 separate weight classes. And now he's only 2 weight classes below the fight that he really wants, is the fight with Canelo Alvarez, who now is only 2 weight classes below him instead of 3. So let's see how it unfolds and plays out. But imagine he beat Tszyu, Terence Crawford. He beats Tszyu. He is now a 4-division world champion, undisputed in 2 separate weight classes. And he fights Canelo Alvarez. He beats Canelo Alvarez. He's a 5-division champion and undisputed in 3 separate weight classes. Top 5 greatest fighters in history. So that's all I got for y'all, man. Let's see how this unfolds. But that's all I got. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV. All one word. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.